Ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, that is the Lord who comes in nobody's person. He's not controlled. He's not born. He does not die. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Case in error, reconciliation. Thought it should be clear that we can't reconcile with lies. So I want to emphatically state that the God I'm speaking of is the one that put up the sun, the moon, and the stars.
Yes, sir.
Controls his creation, neither slumbers nor sleep. And he sent Mohammed. And while we're on this, I want us to put the first focus about, I want to present this. These are not rap sessions. These are not entertaining sessions. When I operate in this desk, I'm operating as though I am Imam Deputy Mohammed. I'm not Imam Deputy Mohammed. But I operate with his spirit, his mind, and his will. And I know what he was here to do at Ramadan sessions. See, there are different sessions we operate as imams. If we're an imam, we operate, sometimes we have to preach. And some of you know I can be quite a fiery preacher. I promise you that I won't preach too hard, but I'm subject to do it. Reason, why? Let's so we understand wisdom. God said, "Oh, ila sabilillah bil hikmati." Invite all to the way of God with beautiful wisdom. And jihadin, he said, argue with them with the best of manner. Now, I'm a little different than most of the common imams you have. In fact, I tell you, I didn't come to North America by myself. But I didn't have any high ranks in the FOI. And I just wanted to say to our leader, Imam Deen Mohammed, who is my leader, I accept to be my leader. You don't have to accept him to be your leader. He's my leader. All right? Understand that? Now, you can get mad, you can get glad. That's my leader. I live just like I would live for his grandfather, live for his father, I die for his father. You know, I'm going to tell you something. This is not personal to pat myself on the back. I was lying flat in the hospital bed. Sister Robin called me. She called me about something else. And I didn't know how I was going to make it. I really didn't know how I was going to make it. I told the doctor, I got to get out. I got an obligation to go. I got to go to Mosque. Period. God arranged for me to get out. Because it's about faith. Wa amanu salihat. See, you know, I hate to hear weak people from among us tell us, well, I can't go because I got my wife. Man, I got a wife. I got 7 children. Don't give me that weak excuse. You know, I presented that excuse for a weak leader to the Imam Muhammad. I'm not going to give you the full story because it kind of be embarrassing, but he did say this to me. He said, why don't you just stop presenting these weak people? So why don't you just say that they're weak and lazy and they don't want any commitment? Our situation demands action. It does not demand a sit down, what they call in Arabic, muqaddidin, those who sit down. It demands action. I'm going to first thank our President Imam Deen Mohammed, and I'm going to tell you something. Now, I'm going to also tell you a little different about me. I want you to give you a little philosophical understanding. You wouldn't have to understand it. I served in the early days with Imam Muhammad as a whip. You know what a whip is in the political arena? The whip, the majority leader doesn't have to tell him to pull it out. The whip pulls it out. And occasionally the leader has to pull the whip back. That's right. You know, I've been in meetings where people were very disrespectful to the imam. You know what I said to them? Shut up. We don't want to hear from you. And finally the imam very patiently said, that's right. He said, well, Imam has a point. And I said, you know, somebody had the audacity to come to one of our meetings, early 70s, and wanted to bring in one of these rotten civil rights leaders, as though he was a leader. Now, I knew the scheme. I wasn't naive. That this particular leader, a so-called reverend, had told the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I've given up a lot now. You'll get it. Then he said, I'll be one of your ministers, Mr. Mohammed. No, he said Mr. Mohammed. He's more respectful than the minister. He said, dear holy apostle, if you put me over all the ministers. So this lady inside our community decided, see, you can't, everybody hear that. I heard the brothers talking to love talk. I love talk too. But there is something called Ruqan, and we're going to get later in our address, Surat Bayan, the clear evidence, so we can understand separation as a must. We have to understand that. We have to understand separating. And let me tell you, I'm a healer. I was trained by one of the best, Imam Yusuf Shah. And I'm going to tell you something. I see one of his students by the way of the West Coast. And I caught it in Washington, D.C., and I'm looking. This is not to disrespect other staff people, but I'm an observer. I was talking to a physician in the community. He said, you know, I always thought you were a physician. I said, well, I operate just like one. And reason being is I diagnosed the situation. And some of you might have noticed I was diagnosing you as I was coming in here. Because I don't just talk from emotions and feelings. We want to address what the problem. So if a man has cancer and it's metastasized to his kidney, I'll be a fool to treat him like he has a cold. So I know we have metastasized cancer coming from the hypocrite quarters. Some of you all just conversated with the hypocrite a few days ago. One of the big hypocrites just called me. You going to that thing? So I told him, hey man, I got to go to bed, man. I ain't talk to him. You know what I mean? You know, don't waste your time. You ain't going to get me. I don't believe in you. I never believed in you. The only thing kept me off your back was Imam Mohammed.
Right.
And I know that the people, if I slapped you physically, the people wouldn't understand it. They wouldn't. No, they'd kill me. Because they think that these people are right. Oh, that brother, don't talk about that brother. That's a good brother. Now, this is not the thrust of the conversation. We're going to get into some Islamiyah. Now, I know y'all here for some meat now. Y'all didn't come here to be entertained. I'm not entertaining, but we're getting to the point. What is the role of Imam Deen Mohammed and the problematization of the Nation of Islam? And why are people saying he is the Imam Mujaddid Mahdi? And I told you I didn't learn this term first on my own. I learned it from Minister Louis Farrakhan. Y'all know him?
Yeah.
Right. Well, he told me this in 1975. I didn't know one word of Islam at that time. All I knew was Yaqub's history, student enrollment. I knew the problem book. I stayed in the problem book. I knew we had a problem. So as a student minister, I figured it was most appropriate to be in the problem book. And I read about the lion in the cage, and I was one of them. And when I really figured the cage was the Bible, scripture. That we were a lion, a powerful lion. Yeah. But we're running around in a cage and couldn't get out. But Minister Louis Farrakhan, I said, what do you think of the Supreme Minister? He said, brother, he is the Imam Mujaddid Mahdi. Now this is what he said first. He is being modest. He's not the Mujaddid, brother. He is the Imam Mujaddid Mahdi. Now this is way before I read Maulana Maududi. Now I will reference you all. You get your notebooks out there and just sit down to play. You know, you go to one of my classes at a university, you have to pay. They throw you out if you're done. Now, so you here, you can get a free class. Hope you'll buy a tape. But take some notes. The process of, well, I ain't going to give you that one. Process of Islamic revolution wasn't intended to give you. But I do want to tell you about Maulana Maududi in the history of revivalist movement. Imam Muhammad had that in his bookstore. Why I tell you this? Because we need to contextualize the learning process. Now the problem with some of you good imams among us, you can defend the imam and what is called Deen. And Sherman Jackson, Tariq Ramadan, and these other snakes will eat you up. They will eat you up. They won't eat me up. Because first of all, I opened the Quran and believe it when God says, Zalika Kataba la Reba Fi who died Mustaqim. Now what is that book telling us that for? It opens the Al-Fatiha to give you a taste of the book, to let you know what's going to be in the book. Then it says to now, this is the content now. Hold on, buddy. If you ain't right, verily, surely, certainly, this is the book for Mutaqin. It ain't for thieves. It ain't for bank robbers. It ain't for the scam man. It's one who has Mutaqin. That's the one. That's it. Tell the jail boys to reform. Get in an upright position and then come to us. We don't got recruiting them. I had a young man come on. I was on my way here last night. I talked to him. He came. I said, please talk to him, Daddy. You know, he got a problem. I said, no. Are you in a diversion program? He said, yeah. I said, are you trying to get in a second diversion program? So, if I understand you correctly, you want me to write a letter for you. I said, maybe this is a good sign from God for you to stop smoking weed and come to my house for my comparative religion class. So I ain't trying to force you to be a Muslim. I don't care what you are. But we should offer in all these cities classes in human development. Our people are not even in a position to get into Islamic studies. Most of you in here are not in a position to get into Islamic studies. And I'm not saying this is disrespect. You are all good, sincere people. I don't read no phone. I don't see a hypocrite in here. No hypocrites in here. A few of them left. I probably knew I was going to be, and they ain't here. All praises due to Allah. Because they would have made themselves miserable. This is the day and time to be hard on the hypocrites. Imam Mohammed gave them 33 years of mercy. I don't have any mercy for them. I'm not trying to play with them, placate them. They're not my friends. The Prophet was told to be hard on them. I'm like Muhammad told us to be hard on them. He said that the die has been set and the material has been made to remove the hypocrite on the panel. And they told that was the little brother ain't selling paper. He said this in 73. I'm like Muhammad is saying that. And you know, I believe now the die he talked about with Imam Muhammad was set and the material had been made to remove these hypocrites. And we got most of the bigger ones. And then we start getting festering the junior one. Now some of you are saying, I didn't come here to hear that. I thought you were going to teach the Quran. I am teaching you the Quran. If you understood the Quran, and if you want a Sunday school lesson, Jesus loved us, so the Bible tells you. Then you get up, you're in the wrong place. See, a lot of us think we're Muslim, but really what we have is nothing but Christian ideas. And why, before we go into the rest of the subject, let's differentiate the two faiths. The three faiths. Christianity, this is Imam Muhammad, this is not Alfred Muhammad. Alfred Muhammad didn't even know his name. He thought he belonged on the Book of Plantation. So that's his name. That's what he did. But it was through Imam Deen Muhammad. And I'm telling you something, by people who were standing. I was a good, upright Christian. I was with Imam Kareem Muhammad, and a good Christian preacher who often invite me to his church to speak. I told him, to the preacher, I said, hey, Doc, you know, I get more invitations for the churches than I do for the mosque. I don't get invitations from the mosque because they are too afraid that I'm going to interrupt the clergy. Oh, the clergy? Yeah, the imams love me personally, but I'm not going to give them that clerical stuff. Anyway, so much for the diagnostician, and now I want to share with you something of a very important figure in this room. I'm an important and very important gathering. And I see this decent man, his face is clean, you just know he's right. Nowhere in the world he could be wrong. And when I see people like that, I'm going to identify myself with them. Hey, brother, and that's what you should do in gatherings. Don't hook up just with yourself. Don't be just with yourself. Don't turn this into a gang. Don't turn this into a cult. Go out and greet people.
That's right.
Huh? That's what they taught us in the Nation of Islam. They taught us how to win friends and influencers. I'm not saying it's all Islamic, but it was great. And I meet this man and I said, because you should welcome people. You all come to the convention. If all you all in the convention, right here, invited 35 people to the convention, we would have 6,000 people. Now we should get on the phones and do that. If something wrong with you, you can't convince 30 people. And if you fall, maybe you can get 10. And I can contend with them. What do they have to oppose what we're doing? Come on with your objection. I asked one lying hypocrite. I said, you said you are a follower of the Honorable Elijah.